All right. Before we even start off this video, though, let me tell you, right? I'm gonna just assume. I'm gonna just assume that you've made it. That if you've made it this far into the series, you probably mess with me. And if you probably mess with me, I'm gonna just be on me, just on me timing. Because you mess with me anyway. I mean, obviously we connected now. Like if you mess with me, then I'm messing with you. And if I'm messing with you and you messing with me, then we locked in every time. You feel me? And if you not messing with me, go rewatch the story multiple times. Because obviously you didn't understand the first time. Like you gotta understand the first time so that you can understand the second time. Anyway, on to actual business. There's a couple things I did forget to talk about, right? Not really. It's just one thing. Ida, right? His brother's still in the hospital because of that stain situation. He did go over there to go see his brother during school hours and stuff. Also, probably that same day ish, people was asking about. Well, really, people was congratulating Sans. Well, they wasn't congratulating Sans. Really, people was congratulating Papyrus, congratulating Chara, Azriel, all the top fives, because it's everybody in the top five, right? Even some people that didn't get the top five, Frisk, they looking at Sans talking about better luck next time on some shit. You feel me? Sans he ain't worried about it. He ain't stressing about it at all. I did want to say something though. The tournament, right? The tournament went that way mainly because a lot of people was holding back. Obviously nobody in the My Hero verse is holding back because they ain't got a reason to. But Sans, he could have won easily if I just had him teleport people out the ring every time. Bakugo and Papyrus, that would have been the only people that could have reacted to that. But that's besides the point, right? If everybody was going all out and Sans wasn't teleporting people out of the ring immediately, top two probably would have been like Azriel and Frisk. Yeah, that's top two. And if I'm being 100 off some ring out stuff, Azriel probably would have won. Purely off the ring outs. If it wasn't out the ring out, Frisk would have knocked him off. But that's just how that's the power system, These monsters are still very strong. Them humans just stronger. You feel me? They just stronger, and that's okay. But yeah, like I was saying, Sans, he probably would have knocked off. He would have lost to Azriel. Like just in the way that it was going. If nobody was holding back, he would have lost to Azriel. If nobody was holding back, Fritz would have won the Chara, and then beat Bakugo, and then beat Azriel. Well, unless he was doing the ring out stuff. So Papyrus would have lost to Azriel if nobody was holding back. But Papyrus is also like that. But either way, he still would have lost to Azriel. So yeah. And then that's the tournament if nobody was holding back, right? My boy Bakugo just got the quirk. You feel me? Obviously, everybody went home. They was seeing their parents and stuff. This nigga Bakugo, he out here learning how to use his quirk. It's a little different to his old quirk or his original quirk. But it's he can't. He obviously he's having the same problem that the canon Izuku had, with the bones and stuff. But he's also just like on some like he just gotta turn down the power. He ain't got to use all the power. At least that's how he's thinking about it. Off like the first time trying to use it, but that's besides the point. But yeah. While, Ida gone, he with his brother in Helsu or wherever the place is called, at the hospital. Everybody, going through the day as normal. People get called into the office. Principal Nezu want to talk to some people. So. Azuku, not fuck. Yeah, Azuku, that's who it is. Anyway, Sans, Papyrus, Chara, Azrael, Frisk, just the main lineup of characters, newly found characters of this world, but that's besides the point, They they gotta go to the office real quick. Principal Nezza got conversations they want to conversate about, right? So, Principal Nezu, probably the smartest character in My Hero Academia. And, just, looking at the clips, looking at the fighting, he just like, as he, turn around in this chair and stuff, facing the groups of people in front of him. He's like, it hasn't been too long since school first started. It seemed like y'all have integrated yourselves well with each other. My boy, intelligent with it. He's intelligent with it. Obviously, Sans. He gonna have to play the mental gymnastics. He gonna have to play the mental sports games with this one. So, he just gonna keep it. He gonna keep it peaceful. He gonna stay silent. He gotta reserve his cards. He gotta save his pieces. You feel me? Either way. Papyrus, he always rely on Papyrus. It's like, yeah, only the closest of friends could compete with us. Cause my boy Papyrus, and Nezu like, that's interesting. Y'all practically just met and are already this close friends. I'm glad my school could inspire such friendship within you. And since it's like, yep. Frisk and Char, they kind of peep the situation slightly. They don't understand the situation for real, but they peep it slightly, right? And Char, we're like, you brought us all to your office for a reason, right? I assume it wasn't for us to talk about how great friends we are. And Principal Nezu was like, you know what, Char, you're right. That isn't the only reason. As he hit the remote. He got the remote. You start replaying the film of the sports festivals and stuff. A couple fights specifically, right? First fight that pops up is Sans' fight with Todoroki when he just allows himself to fall out the ring. Then we see Char first fight with Frisk. Well, that wasn't her first fight, but her fight with Frisk. Then we see a Frisk fight with Mina, and then back to the Frisk fight with Chara. Implications. A little bit of situations, right? The only person here that seems that's consistent in the tournament is Azrael, and he pops out the tournament starting with a whole new move, a whole new power. Nobody's even thought about him having anything related with fire. Nowhere on his track record has it had to say anything about it. The only thing about the fire is his parents. So he just happened out the tournament showing whole new powers. And Principal Nezu, he let that go, right? He started talking about it. He started explaining why they all are in this room together. Because there's an inconsistency with the group and how much power they actually have, right? Frisk and Char kind of get a pass, slightly, because Frisk and Chara power is related to how badly they actually want something. So, of course, the power is going to change depending on how bad they actually want something. At the same time, Principal Nezu personally doesn't necessarily trust that because he's got the charts of Frisk and Char plus the person that sanctioned their powers, which was Gaster. And he don't necessarily trust Gaster. Well, he kind of in a rivalry with Gaster because of the intelligence thing. But that's besides the point, all right? He doesn't know how he feels about not only the quirks of both of them, because they have hella similar quirks, and it's a very odd one at that. He's not messing with the person that, the doctor that ran through their quirk, plus the fact that all these children to him are connected way more than they are connected to anybody else in the school. Immediately connected. And although it's not even necessarily like super obvious or anything, right? Because Principal Nezu knows Gaster knows that. I mean, Principal Nezu knows Gaster's closest friends are, Toriel and Asgore, right? He knows that. So obviously these people could have known each other since birth, technically. Which is another reason why Papyrus is here. Because he doesn't he doesn't expect Papyrus to lie about anything. He is almost certain, based off their first conversation after the USJ arc, that there is if Papyrus is having trouble answering a question that Sans is refusing to answer, Sans is going to answer it in a way to basically deflect the question. Nezu doesn't necessarily feel like he needs to worry about Frisk, Char, or Azrael / Flowey because he doesn't think they're intelligent enough to get around what he's talking about. If anything, he asks the question again in a more direct manner because he can do that. He's the principal. The only person here that can actually debate him is Sans. And since they started, they showed each other's hands a little bit in that first conversation that they had. They both a little bit more prepared for the fight, for the mental battle, the conflict. Either way, right? Principal Nezza starts off just laying out the topic, the setting of the minefield that Sans and him are going to be walking on, plus these randoms that he brought in case somebody want to F over Sans, right? that's really what it is. Principal Nezu starts off talking about, how they're all connected with each other, just off friendship, which he's perfectly fine with. But he also notices that they're all having a going all out issue, especially when it comes to fighting people that aren't each other. Because they'll crash on each other all the time. You feel me? Papyrus starts off, because Papyrus, he doesn't need to think about any of this, right? Papyrus starts off, and he's like, I don't hold back on anyone, because it's Papyrus. The amount of holding back Papyrus does is necessary. It's like, I give everyone the equal and exact effort I always give everyone, because that's what they deserve. The great Papyrus will not hold back against a worthy opponent. Obviously, my boy Sam's like, he started clapping. So cool. And Principal Nezu, because he got to respond to that. And it was like, you know what, Papyrus, you're right. Because out of everyone here, other than Azrael, you also showed the most consistency. You struggled the most and got the win. Congratulations, Papyrus. I should have did that when you first came in, but good job on some stuff. But the rest, the rest of you, and he lays it back on him. Char's like, she got an excuse for it, talking about, her power summons knives. So she's not necessarily comfortable with inflicting a lot of damage on someone that, isn't worth it. basically. And, you know, Principal Nezu obviously got to call cap on that because, you know, it may have been dealt with, but there's still records of her being violent towards other people before coming to UA. It's not a hard record to find. He got ties to the police. So, so not only that, she's consistently violent towards multiple of the other people, mainly males, in her classroom. It hasn't gotten to like a real physical altercation, at least not in a classroom setting. But she isn't afraid to hurt people at all. So he got to call cap on that, right? Obviously, Char kind of like shut down a little bit. She like, damn, I wasn't expecting him to like, you know, dive deep into my shit like that, right? Frisk, you know, she realizing that, you know, he a little bit, because, you know, Frisk find this animal to be cute, right? So he's like, she like, you know, she started mentally preparing herself like, okay, this is not just a cute fuzzy animal. This is a very intelligent thing talking to us, trying to figure out the backstory that we obviously can't tell them. So, you know, Frisk start up, and, you know, she was like, you know, trying to take up for some Chara stuff because she ain't trying to say nothing. You know, she ain't trying to, you know, spoil nothing. She ain't trying to let him know something he ain't supposed to know. And she's like, you know, Chara may be aggressive, but that's really just the anger management. If we being 100, she has a lot of love in her heart. It just a lot of it comes out as anger a lot of the time, which isn't a lie, right? It's not a lie at all. She got a lot of love in her heart. It's just not for humans. It's just not for the people in general, which is why it be anger most of the time because she's dealing with a whole lot of motherfuckers. Either way, Principal Nezu, he gotta respect that because at the end of the day, that makes sense. This is the closest person to her. They both come from an orphanage, from what he can understand, right? So shit, it's making sense. It's making sense to him, right? And he let her know that. And then he shifts the conversation a little bit, right? So he said, okay, so I'm gonna get off of that. How do y'all know each other? You feel me? And you know, Astro, he tried to hit it like, wait, you know, me, Frisk, and Char are family. He's like, no, I'm not talking about your family. Obviously, I know how y'all are family. How do y'all family know each other? And you know, Papyrus stuff was like, oh yeah, our dad knows Asgore. They're like close friends or something. And Principal Nez was like, okay, when's the first time you ever hung out? Because he gotta get an understanding, you know? If there's not an understanding, there's somebody lying, right? Now, as soon as he asks that question, everybody goes silent. You feel me? It's like, oh, because even Papyrus understands, right? That at the start of this conversation, he was talking about how close their friendship is. And for them to have really only for real met each other after taking the entrance exam to UA, for them to have locked in this heavy, it would have to have been like on some soulmate connected, just off the rip as soon as I seen you type activity, which Papyrus is willing to go for, right? He would chop it up there. He would say something, but since sensing the energy in the room, he done stay silent the whole time. You know, he done seen the cards that Nezu got. Obviously, Nezu got other cards. So lying about when they met is probably out of the question. Telling the truth about when they met is also probably about out of the question. So Sans like, look, which everybody they look at Sans because Sans don't even really be talking like that, but Sans like, look, I know you got some kind of rivalry with my dad, but trying to find out when we met each other and how close we are and how fast it took for us to get this close kind of seems like a breach of privacy. And Nezu, he like, because Nezu can get, he can get some information out of this too. You already peeping a little bit, and Principal Nezu like, you know what? You right, Sans. That might have been me overstepping my boundaries. And I apologize for that. I'm not human. So it's hard for me to be able to tell sometimes. It's mainly just intellect up here. And, Sans is like, I understand. And, I'm willing to forgive you for it. Before Sans could say anything else, he's like, but, it's not just because of my rivalry with your dad. This is still my school. If anything is happening behind the scenes, I need to know about it so that I can make sure that all of my students are safe. And, Sans, because Sans, he already been in here a lot longer than he wanted. And Sans is already peeping what Nezu could potentially gain from him having to interject in this conversation alone. So Sans is like, I understand that, the principal thing, right? And it makes sense as a principal for you to want to take care of your students. But even if we did explain when we met and how we met and how it made us feel, you probably still couldn't understand why we grew so close to each other. Especially from what you understand has been a short time. And, Principal Nezu, before he could even get the words out, Sans is like, because you're not human. You don't understand the connection, the bond that could be built between a collective or a community in such a short period of time, whether it be through tragedy or through hardship or through celebration. We could tell you, but we can't understand it for you. And Nezu allowing him to get all that off, right? Realizes, well, he understood it as soon as it was happening, but he realizes Sans's only play, which was to create a distance between him and the human psyche. Like there's a piece of it that he's missing, that he's not understanding because he's not human, right? He's secluding him in that, which Principal Nezu understands. He's not even necessarily mad about it because he's been hit with it before. It's not something that he could easily debate, especially not at this point in time. It's like, even if he did fully understand the human concept or the human emotion, he wouldn't be able to fully prove it. And even if he could, the person that he's talking to doesn't have to fully believe it, whether they did or not, right? They don't have to tell him that they believe it, right? But he has gained more out of this conversation, which is all he was really looking for. He kind of figured that Sans was smart enough to, quote unquote, put him in a trap that he fell for, but a trap nonetheless. But what he wanted to know was what everyone else would do as he was pressuring everyone else in the room. And the fact that everyone stayed completely silent and relied solely on Sans and his intelligence to get them out of the situation tells him a couple things. For one, they're all in on it. Not one of them is safe. Not one of them is. Whatever it is, they're all connected with it. For two, they understand how smart, how reliable, and how strong Sans is, especially in a situation like this. For them to solely rely on him. They didn't even try to interject. They, as he reading their faces, right, reading their emotions, just reading them, right, because, it's Nezu. It's like Nezu would say something, and they gotta, like, the intensity within themselves kind of build up until they say something they think is relevant enough and could subdue the conversation. Sans, he can't read. He don't know anything about what's going on with Sans. He got the same problem with Gaster. Papyrus is brutally honest, which is completely outrageous to Nezu. He does not understand that shit. He understands like the genealogy and shit, right? But for him, But for Gaster to have two sons and for one of them to be, for both of them to be highly intelligent and to use this high intelligence for two different reasons, he just can't. He just don't understand it for real. He'll probably never understand it, but that don't mean he'll stop trying. But yeah, like I was saying, Nezu figures out, right? He's mentally done clocked. Like, okay, not only is Sans the biggest threat of the group, everyone in the group knows about it. Not only does everyone in the group know about it, they all understand that they can't rely on him. Which, Nezu, from what his understanding is, they hadn't met each other up until after high school, during or after the entrance exam. Didn't even know each other during the entrance exam. They only met each other after the entrance exam, from his understanding. So for them to gather this much experience with relying on each other, and mainly on Sans, especially in intelligent situations, with almost zero prep time, he gotta think about it. But this is giving him a lot of information. And that's what he tells Sans. He's like, you know what, Sans, you're right. I was just worrying because I'm the principal, just trying to figure out what was going on with my students. But you're absolutely correct, Sans. And I'm sorry for displacing you out of your routine. And Sans is like, I forgive you. As everybody else is, trying to looking at the door like, dang, can we leave now? This is a terrible situation. Locked us in with this conversation, didn't he? Anyway. And that's just like, y'all dismissed, right? So obviously they go back to leave and they go to class and stuff. Principal Nezu is really trying to figure out them as a whole, and Gaster as well. One of the main reasons why Nezu is sure that they only met after the entrance exam is because Gaster told him. He called Gaster, and Gaster would have told him that they celebrated, that he brought, Papyrus and Sans over to their spot and celebrated the entrance exam, basically, right? And obviously that could be a lie, technically, but he knows Gaster. At least he knows a lot about Gaster, and he feels like he wouldn't have lied at that time or now, because Gaster's on his toes 10 times. 10 times out of 10, Gaster's on his toes. So, he just thinking about it like, dang, there's gotta be something I'm missing here. But besides all that, that was an interesting little conversation they had. That's pretty much it with that, right? They go back to the class. Some students are out there asking like, dang, what y'all do? Over there getting in trouble and stuff. What's going on? Papyrus would have been over there like, he just wanted to ask us about our friendship and how close we are. And, that's just not necessarily the smartest thing to do, but, that's got other kids wondering like, dang, why are y'all so close? And easiest answer is that their parents know each other. And that's pretty much all it is, because there's nobody else in the classroom that's trying to grill them like, Nezu is. They're like, oh, shoot, y'all parents know each other? Okay, that's cool. Blah, blah, blah. Realize that Asriel parents is, retired heroes, Asgore and Toriel. Some of the students know them, right? And so Coda, if y'all remember who those characters are for real. I don't even know if I got the first person right. What's his name? Dupli Arms, Anna, whatever his name is. Speaking of, next day. Actually, before next day, right? Because Bakugo was in the class too. Bakugo has known Papyrus and Sans damn near all his life. And he's just now, and because of that question alone, right? Because of the answers that they gave and everything, right? he just realized, why are they so close? Bakugo has never once seen Frisk, Char, or Azriel. Apparently, Gaster knows, their parents. So now he like, even if they knew each other, right? Even if their parents knew each other, how would they have? When would they have gotten that close? Even if they knew each other, right? But that's a situation for another day. Next day, Ida back. It's raining and stuff. Papyrus. Our boy Sans, he got the hoodie on. New hoodies, fresh hoodies in the fresh jackets. You feel me? My boy Papyrus, he got the umbrella. Wall carrying Sans. Because why not? Straight to the school. They see Ida on the way there. Talking about can't be late and stuff. Papyrus just can't let nobody win. He got a challenge. It's a challenge, so they go there. They racing there and all that, right? Get to the spot. They start talking. Papyrus talking about, he about to say something about sorry about your brother and stuff. Ida's like, nah, I'm sorry, I made y'all worry. My brother's fine, blah, blah. Which, Sans, he take a look at him, reading his body postures and stuff. He just understand that Ida lying. Ida lying about how he feel right now. But, Sans ain't about to press him about it. I mean, his brother just got hurt. He gonna let it slide, shit. It makes sense to him. He didn't expect that from Ida, but shit, it makes sense for him, right? They get to the classroom. As everybody was talking and stuff. Talking about the sports festival and the points and stuff, because people outside been out there talking to him like, dang, bro, you wasn't even top 10, nigga. You didn't even leave the first round. All kinds of people. And, they talking about it. Aizawa walk in the room. Everybody gets silent. They got to. Sans still sleep. Aizawa still respected. He talking about, something about to go on in the classroom and stuff. They like, dang, what we about to do? I ain't study for shit. No. Pop quizzes and shit. No. Anyway, that's all talking about. We got to pick hero names and shit, right? Then we gonna allocate the points for y'all so that y'all can, get the shit going. Niggas happy. It's all about to crash out. They sit back down instantaneously. They understand the plays, right? Midnight come in, start talking about the quirk names and stuff, right? Not quirk name, but the hero names and stuff, right? Couple people go up there. We got Mina trying to do that alien queen and shit. She like, nigga, who the fuck? We got Aoyama up there. Can't stop twinkling, or whatever he said the first time. They was out there like, dang, what the fuck? I'm supposed to make this shit. Sue go up there. What? It's Froppy. That's what it was. Midnight was like, yep, that's a good name for you. The rainy season hero. Froppy. I'm not about to go over the entire thing, right? Most of these niggas are the same. Only niggas that's, important, right? We got Sans up there. Let's just get Sans out the way. He the punny hero. Comic Sans, you feel me? Come on now. It's the punny hero, Comic Sans. You feel me? That's his name. Obviously, Papyrus out here, he clapping like, oh, yeah. That's a good name, Sans. Good job. You feel me? He's like, I ain't messing with them puns, but he proud of his brother. A lot of people in the class they getting tired of these puns. They getting tired of them. A lot of them are. It was funny the first 2-3 weeks. They've been having to deal with these motherfuckers every day. They kind of done with them, but some of them are funny, so they gonna let it slide, right? As everybody's just up there watching them, right? They, some people clapping, some of them, chilling, right? So it's like, tough crowd. Man, I think the people that laugh at bad jokes are the best. Because that's what he do. So, he goes sit down, right? We got Papyrus up there. Papyrus is going to put his real name. So yeah, Papyrus go up there, he got his the all around hero, the great Papyrus. Right? No extra R's or nothing. He keeping it simple. He gonna pronounce it the way he want to though. It's the great Papyrus. And they messing with it, Everybody, they clapping up for him. It's the great Papyrus. That's what he been calling himself since he got here. You feel me? Now, if I'm being 100% honest, in my head, I never made a hero name for Frisk or Chara. It was just Frisk and Chara. I can't lie to you. But if I was gonna make a hero name for Frisk and Chara, first off, Chara walk up there with a whole bunch of different names. They all getting shot down. They all getting shot down. It's just, just too violent. It's just too violent for the hero associations. You feel me? For the hero gang, it's just a little bit too violent. You need to tone it down a little bit, Same problem with Bakugo. But he also got one for all now, so he got, like I said before, he done had to visit Recovery Girl a couple different times. But he locking down on that quirk. Frisk, she ain't never thought about no hero names either. But she got the inspiration, off everybody else and their stuff, Because she could just write her name. But where's the fun in that? I'm just gonna be calling them their name because I said so. Either way, right? Frisk walk up there with the name and stuff. The Mercy Hero, saving. The Mercy Hero is the title. Saving is the hero name. I think it's cool. I think it relates back to the quirk and everything kind of well, back to the character and the game. So yeah, I mess with it. Saving. That's the hero name. Either way, we got my boy Azrael up there. He had to include Flowey. Azrael got a couple different send backs too. Motherfucker out here talking about that got a hyper depth and shit. Nigga playing too much. He came up there, put the board up there. He's got Omega Azrael. Cause he liked that. Cause he locked in with Flowey. Flowey messing with it. Flowey gonna be calling himself whatever the fuck he wants to if I'm being 100. Chara in the same boat as Bakugo for real. She'll probably be like the determined hero, but she can't think of a name, But yeah, her and Bakugo are in the same position for real. So they don't give hero names yet. Should Frisk get a hero name for real? I might delete it. Niggas won't be calling her that. But for a hero name, I feel like it makes sense. Omega Azrael would make sense for Azrael. Yeah. Yep. Char ain't getting a hero name yet. Bakugo hasn't been greenlit for one either. Cause his canon, it took him a while to to even come up with one, right? He only got one at the end of the series for real. So either way, we continue. Well, obviously, Sans got jokes to make. This, that, and the third. He talking about he talking to Bakugo too. Talking about you can't even come up with a hero name. Come on now. This not even a test or nothing. How you slow on the things that don't matter. You feel me? Bakugo, he can't get mad at everything, especially now that he got this power. He calming down a lot more, so he's just gonna let him have it, right? Because at the end of the day, he ain't got no hero name. You feel me? Now he got the responsibility of All Might stacked on him, so he like shit. I don't even know. It's not to say that he wavering, but he's understanding that it's bigger than him a little bit more. At the same time, he's seeing how Sans interacting with Frisk, Chara, Azrael. So it's Papyrus, right? And Sans is one thing because he barely understood Sans in the beginning. But Papyrus is very friendly with these niggas, right? Which he knows Papyrus and he knows that Papyrus will make friends easier. But these other motherfuckers aren't like Papyrus. So even if they did vibe with him heavy, he finds it weird that they so locked in. Like Papyrus had years to get to know them as well. That's just something that, Bakugo thinking in his head, he'll probably ask about it later. He ain't really too worried about it for real. So, end of the day, you feel me? Everybody going, obviously Aizawa, the whole reason why they had, the names picked out is because Aizawa gotta allocate the points that people was getting from the sports festival so they can go to their respective heroes. And yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. Other than that, they gotta wait till the next day anyway. You feel me? So people start going home and stuff, right? Everybody talking to each other, having great conversations, right? But they ain't really thinking about much of each other yet, because it's just like, okay, there's some good people at the school, great, energy. They messing with their classmates. That's pretty much what's going on, right? Bakugo does pull up on Papyrus and Sans is on some like, so what's up with them other kids that y'all talking to? And it's like, Sans turn around, he's like, what are you talking about? It's like, both Sans and Papyrus turn around, they confused. They want him to elaborate, right? Because in their head, they've been talking to everybody. So, but Bakugo's like, the actual strong ones, what's his name? Azrael in them. And, Papyrus it's like, oh, he's talking about Frisk and Char. It's like, yeah, all three of them. Papyrus is like, oh, yeah, it's like, yeah, we met each other after the entrance exam, but our parents already knew each other, so it was easy to be friends with them. And Bakugo almost expected an answer like that from Papyrus. So he started looking at Sans like, and you? And it's like, Sans like, I don't know what you're insinuating. I'm friends with everyone, especially if they like bad jokes. And Bakugo over here like, come on, Sans. It's one thing to be friends with people, but there's an obvious difference between how you treat the rest of the classmates and how you treat them. Y'all treat them like y'all have known them as long as you've known me, and I've known y'all since childhood. And that's when they realize, okay, maybe they might be a little bit, because Bakugo noticing too, but Bakugo always been smart. You feel me? So they may have had to, adjust his behavior over the years. But, if one thing, he's always been gifted. My boy Sans, he hit that what's it called? Girl boss gaslight. Girl boss gatekeep gaslight. You feel me? That's what you gotta hit that hoe. You feel me? So, he over here like Bakugo. Are you out here getting jealous again? He's like, fuck are you talking about, you goddamn nerd? It was like, I don't know, Bakugo. I'm just saying, like, we out here interacting with everybody, and you picking out specific people that we might be a little bit closer to than everybody else. That shit sound a little, I don't know. Obviously, Bakugo getting flustered and shit. That's the real tsundere, but that's besides the point. He getting flustered and shit. He like, fuck it. I'm going. Y'all deal with that. Y'all be weird by yourselves or whatever. He leave. Papyrus Sans they go home. If they buy the Bakugo, if they buy to everybody for real, but and on the way home and shit, Papyrus out here like, you think yeah, because he out here thinking in his head like, because a lot of people is nosing. It's like, do you think we need to be less kind to Frisk and Char and them? And Sans over here like, do you want to be less kind to him? And she's like, no, but everybody's seeing that we closer. Like, we got history. And, it's just, I don't like lying to people, Sans, and blah, blah, right? And Sans is like, you ain't lied to nobody yet. And second, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't be able to guess our relationship in 1,000 years. Who is going to guess? Obviously, he ain't saying this out loud, but who's going to guess knowing somebody from a completely different universe that was destroyed, and you somehow came to this universe, and y'all just still cool, like y'all just have memories of that shit. And it's like everybody, and possibly everybody in that universe came over here, but only certain motherfuckers got memories. Man, say anybody believe in that shit don't even make possible sense for real. And obviously Papyrus heard the first part of that, like in 1,000 years, who gonna guess where they know each other from? You feel me? And he's still over here like, I don't know, I guess Sans, and says over here, you tie it back to the original point. Like, that's why I asked if you wanted to treat them worse. If you don't want to, then we shouldn't have to. They're our friends, right? And it's like, yeah, you're right, Sans. We gonna treat them the same. It's like, good. Anyway, I would be saying I'm going to Grilby's, but we ain't got that here, so I'm taking a shortcut to the house, basically. He gone. You feel me? He ain't walking all the way back there. And if Papyrus ain't carrying him, he for sure not walking them all. He ain't about to wait that long. Papyrus, he start running to the house and shit. My boy fast, but he can't beat teleportation. He getting faster every day though. But yeah, next day roll around. And everybody in the classroom, everybody in the class, Aizawa out there, he got the names, the lists, and all that. He ready to, all the students gotta do is, pick who they about to be with. You feel me? Goddamn, we got some people that know where they gonna go instantaneously. Mineta trying to get in with that Mount Lady. He trying to see something. You feel me? We got Uraraka. She trying to get to that Gunhead treatment. You feel me? She trying to see what's going on with Gunhead. Sue trying to get with that sealed hero dude. Everybody going a whole bunch of different places. Everybody going canon. First Char got more people that want to work with her, but because she got higher in the tournament, but they was already deciding about going to the same place anyway. At least for the first time. Who knows what happened the next time, but or if there'll be a next time. You don't know what's gonna happen. Sometimes, left, right, up, down, center. Anyway. But they over there, they deciding, talking to each other about it, listening to other people. Rocket going to Gunhead, like I said. Papyrus and Sans, they looking at the sheet, thinking about who to go with. This, that, these people, those people. They question if they want to go with each other or not. There's a whole bunch of movement around in the classroom. Everybody excited to get down with this internship. Bakugo was looking. He got a whole bunch of different names, right? From Best Genius, some really big names. You don't know which one to pick, but he's looking at Best Genius because Best Genius is up there. Obviously, after a lot of people are done, picking out they heroes, they going to lunch or leaving or wherever they were supposed to be going in canon, all might pull up talking about lunch. Sans and Papyrus, they go with All Might and Bakugo because they know everything about it anyway. There's no reason for them to not go. And All Might explains that he's sending Bakugo to All Might's teacher, Gran Torino, because Gran Torino heard that All Might had a successor. He wanted to train him up real quick, get him on that timing. All three of them recognized that All Might kind of scared. It's a little bit. He's showing some fear. This is news to them. They don't be seeing All Might like this normally, right? But Sam's over here like, glad I ain't gotta deal with him. It's like, this nigga's Bakugo. You gotta calm down. You gotta calm down. He gonna let this motherfucker Sans make him blow a fuse. It's just, you gotta calm down. Either way though, right? First Conchar ends up going with Best Genius because I said so. Azrael would have went around with he probably wouldn't have went around with Sue or something. Yeah, he'll be with the seal guy as well. Ida would have went with the no-named hero. Obviously, Todoroki would have went with his dad because he's trying to learn something. And that just leaves Sans to the Pirates. I know they the main characters of the story. I've got no clue where I want to put them. I almost kind of want to put them with some random no name as well, but not the same one that Ida would have had. They would have had a different no named hero. It don't matter. Sans and Pirates would have been talking about anyway, and they obviously would have recognized that something was going on with Ida, the way that he was moving and the way that he was acting, all that. And on some hero stuff, Sans is like, hey, you trying to stick your nose where it don't belong, And to Pirates, he a real hero at heart. Yes, he trying to stick his nose where he don't belong. Now that I'm thinking about it, Undyne would probably be with the Seal dude as well. That's a crazy team of both Undyne and Azrael with Sue. That whole situation getting wrapped up quick. Anyway, doing a little bit of research, Sans would have been, looking through the names that they both got that were in that area, because, they know that the hero killer is over there and they know Ida might be tripping a little bit. So they want to, they want to make sure he's not doing nothing stupid. And they both pull up around, they both see a particular hero name that was just obviously thrown out. He was just putting his names in all kinds of hats. The native hero, or whatever his name is. You know who I'm talking about. He probably on screen right now, almost dead. But you know who I'm talking about. Yeah, this guy, the one that almost died by Stain. They went with him. Yeah. So, time progresses, of course, right? We got Ida, Mina because she was there as well. Sans, Papyrus, right? They all saying bye to each other. Sans could just see it. You just see the bloodlust on him. You see it. Ida is not going there for no types of hero activities. He's straight vengeance right now. He don't want no types of help, love, care, none of that. It's just violence. Even Papyrus can Papyrus, he if you ever need to talk to somebody about something, I can be the shoulder you lean on. Because it's Papyrus, of course. And, Ida, he just not feeling obviously he gotta duck the kindness because mentally he out for all types of violence. His level of violence just, it ain't skyrocketed or nothing. This is still Ida, of course, from 1 to 2, But he willing to take this one out. He ready to take this one out. But yeah, everybody boards the planes, and at this point, I'm shifting perspectives. So we with Bakugo, right? We with Bakugo. He pull up at this old man's spot. You don't know how old this old man is, but he almost this motherfucker All Might must be playing with me. I understand it might be All Might master, but I'm trying to. He better be ready to teach me something. He obviously Bakugo trying to be number one. He ain't trying to lack on none of this responsibility. So if he gonna go anywhere, it needs to be in the for the betterment of One for All, so he can get this out of here and be number one for real, for real. But yeah, he knock on the door like, "Hey, old man, I heard you was," and then he see the old man lying on the floor. Looks like he covered in blood. He like, "Oh, you dead already?" He looking around. He about to call the cops, right? Gran Torino instead of like, what you say now, Chuck? What's your name again, boy? I done spilled ketchup all over me. Bakugo, he upset instantaneously. Like, man, I thought you was dead. Was you over here laying in ketchup for? What's wrong with you? He over here thinking this motherfucker is senile. Oh, he's Gran Torino acting like he can't hear. He don't recognize nobody. He tripping. Bakugo, he like, man, I'm about to call All Might, right? Because he like, I need a whole new individual because this one a little bit too old. That's what he was thinking. Gran Torino, he over here looking through his hero gear and all his suitcases and stuff. He's like, I see you done came a little bit prepared. I see you over here. You mentally, you might be lacking a little bit with the but you mentally, I gotta see what you about, He's like, wait, what did you touching over there? Some of that is dangerous. You know. Gran Torino zoom by him, snatch the phone out of his hand. It's like, all right, I'm serious now. I need you to show me something. You feel me? Bakugo ain't heard nothing but a word. Unlike Izuku, Bakugo on go. So he start trying to use some explosions, right? He don't care about this old man's property. He started the fight. He must have wanted it here. Like, come on now, right? But at the same time, he not trying to destroy no property for real. But if anything does get damaged, Bakugo is not shedding no tears nor worrying about it. But yeah, he do some like spin with the explosions and stuff. He trying to, reach out. Gran Torino done zipped. He done zipped away. Explosions all over the table. Table gone. Table exploded. Gran Torino like, hey, what? Keep the property damage to a minimum, boy. Don't you have some control over yourself? And then he like, I see you got that explosion quirk. I'm trying to see what One for All can do. So he started trying a little bit more. He done broke his arms before trying to do this One for All shit. He ain't got the measurements down, but because he already had a quirk, it's kind of easier for him to get the feel for it a little bit, right? He kind of understanding that he needs to hold back a lot in order to actually use this quirk. So he ball up his fist. He trying to swing on something, use some of the quirk a little bit, right? It's still gonna be a lot if he swings, but he trying to hold back. Gran Torino ain't not letting that slide. He know what All Might can do. He know what some One for All user could do. He piecing them up, zipping left, right, up, down, up, tut, on his ass, pop, 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 all over his body. He couldn't even move yet. He getting pieced. He like, oh shit, can't even move. Bakugo, he gotta recalibrate mentally. So he started trying to use One for All and his explosions in tandems. He gets a little bit better mobility while he charging up the One for All. He can use them both. Possibly, that's what he's trying to do. Trying to switch between the quirks, like he trying to juggle some shit. Because Gran Torino threw the extra little curveball in there. He ain't fully on his game for real, but he is still thinking. He able to dodge some of the attacks. Gran Torino he zipping back though. Bakugo flew over the couch, grabbed the couch, threw the couch with the One for All arm. It was smooth. Gran Torino had to give him that. You think quick on your feet, boy, but I'm quicker. And that's lesson one. That's lesson one. He got knocked out. Well, not for real knocked out, but he got put down, and Gran Torino was like, we're gonna take a break for now. That was some good work. We taking a break though. Nobody else dealing with stuff like this, of course, because Nobody else is dealing with stuff like this. Fritz and Chara, and they were there in Gran Torino. Not Gran Torino, what the fuck? They were there with Best Genius. You know, Frisk is a lot better at following orders. But she also not vibing with the rules all the way, right? Like, I mean, she can follow these rules, but she like to be free. You feel me? I mean, she want to do what she want to do. What she want to do is she want to have her hair all messy whenever she wants. You know, she want to, all this extra. Sometimes she don't want to look prim and proper all the time. Let the nigga look a little dangerous sometimes. You feel me? Chara is having a worse time than Frisk, though. I mean, her and Best Jean is getting into straight arguments constantly, left and right, up and down, about all types of things. Best Jean won't let her go, neither of them go on any kind of actual hero work because they supposed to be studying under, him, and he trying to shape the youth in his own way, Gotta let the people know that you reliable. They look at you and they know that you gonna serve them with excellence, with elegance. You feel me? Anyway, he getting on Char nerves. He getting on all of Char nerves. Frisk can tolerate it. She ain't fully vibing with it. And this is damn near a mistake for the both of them. That's how they feeling. But Best Genius gonna do his job. Sue, Azrael, and Undyne, they out there at the sea, doing push-ups because that's what the CO dude wanted them to do. Undyne loved this workout shit. Azrael he don't normally do shit, but I mean he can. He really don't normally do this shit though. He just, this will be, it'll be an experience for him. Sue can get some, To be 100% fair, Azrael is barely keeping up with Sue, but he can get that shit done. Especially with Flowey in his ears talking about some bullshit. Look, come on, maggot. Push them arms. Come on, maggot. It'd be times like this where Azrael wonders why both Frisk and Char wanted him to have Flowey in this bitch. But besides the point. You got Kirishima out there with Tetsu, Momo with the kendo, right? The rock out there and the gunhead, Mineta being a pack mule. Even Sansa in Papyrus, right? They out there, they met the native guy, he glad to have him, right? He showing them around, right? He ain't the top hero, just he get his paycheck, he get the job done. This is Sansa and Papyrus' first real time meeting a hero that they feel like isn't really a hero, but has the title, right? I mean, like that's the vibe that they get from him. Like, okay. He ain't really out here trying to do no hero shit, but he obviously he went through the school and then he doing his job, he doing his shit. So I mean, sure, fuck it, right? They can only assume that if some shit was to go down, he would be out there trying to save some people. They can only assume that. What's his quirk? Don't ask me silly questions like that again. Anyway, back to the business. Over the course of the next couple of days, Bakugo would have been training with Gran Torino. Gran Torino would have earned Bakugo's respect, right? Obviously, he old, but that don't mean he ain't putting in that motherfucking work, though. After the first time, Gran Torino went to go take that, go to sleep and stuff, right? Bakugo was just feeling himself. He was like, man, I ain't got the time to rest. I gotta lock in mentally. Find out how to control this quirk, right? And he went outside like where Ken and Azuka was at, right? And he started trying to Start trying to, manipulate how One For All was interacting with his body. Because Gran Torino was talking a whole lot of shit, a whole lot of hot water cornbread, and you feel me? I mean, he can't let that slide. Tomorrow he gotta wake up and be 20 times better because that's Bakugo. He gotta be 20 times better. So he went out there, he was training with him. Ida, right out there with that no named hero. He put in work. Well, he was patrolling like normal. And everybody is doing regular stuff. Next day, Bakugo done learn some stuff. He done learn some stuff without his quirk being active. He can allow One For All to be active all throughout his body. Well, at first it was just, whatever part of the body he wanted it to be, all right? Like he was activating full Callan, quote unquote, without it being like all over his body for real. And then, he seen the microwave when he came back in and they were supposed to be eating or whatever. And that's when he clicked for him. Because I said so. Anyway, obviously him and Gran Torino get back to that work. They training, trying to see what that One For All can do. Everybody else is doing regular internship activities though, right? They doing bare minimum. Obviously Papyrus and Sans. Papyrus is, he working himself to the bone because that's Papyrus. He loves to work. You feel me? He loves putting that work in. Sans is not doing that. He's chilling. Very much chilling. Does not he doing what he's supposed to though, but he is still chilling, right? He is an intern. He is there to watch, observe, and take in all the things that he needs to take in for the job. This particular hero isn't a hero to him, but to each their own. You feel me? During this time, or really last night, the night beforehand, you feel me? When Bakugo was out there training, discovering full Callan and trying to keep it constant throughout his body. Kurogiri brings him over there, and Shigaraki talking to him about joining his team. Stain starts, crashing out. He's slashing. He slashes Kurogiri. He got Shigaraki pinned down. He trying to see some. He trying to see with the heart with Shigaraki. He trying to see where Shigaraki heart at. You feel me? Like he trying to see something. Shigaraki, as he getting threatened, like, wait a minute now. You can't be touching this one though. Not this palm. Not this one on my face. No, he ain't doing that, right? He gripped the knife. He break that boy down. He trying to erase Stain. He trying to erase him off the map. Stain obviously had to jump back, And Shigaraki explained, the motivations. It's like, he want to break it all down, all of it, destruction, destroy it all. He said he don't give a fuck about none of this shit. And their goals is opposing, which Stain recognizes. He, explains. You feel me? But Stain kind of messed with the heart he got. They may not be on the same side, but he's seeing some potential in them. He want to see what it look like. So he gonna let them slide for now. He gonna let them slide for now. Kurogiri is able to move. Shigaraki is a little freaked out because this dude is obviously against him, but also kind of messing with him, and he just don't know how to feel about that. He need this nigga gone. So, Stain like, hey, send me back to the hosting spot. I got some business I gotta take care of, because that's Stain. That's some Stain activities. You feel me? And yeah, that all happened the day prior. You feel me? Either way, Gran Torino talking about some, patrolling that, they could do. They take a taxi down to the train spot. They hop on a train. No moves start flying in and stuff. You feel me? as a hero, you gotta act fast. You feel me? Goddamn, Gran Torino, he already out here trying to protect the civilians. He hop up, he started knocking the Nomu. He started knocking him around some ragdoll activity. He said, "Hey, stay on the train." He flew out with the Nomu. Obviously, Bakugo not about to just listen to him. He a hero. You feel me? He one of them. So he started looking around as well. Once he hop off the train too. You feel me? Start looking around. Whole city about to it's about to burn down. You feel me? And this is where Sans and Powers are. You feel me? I know Bakugo probably would have known where they were. He probably don't know that either here, but that's besides the point. But yeah, the whole reason why Papyrus and Sans showed up was to keep an eye on Ida. They ain't seen Ida yet, but they know he's there. And Shigaraki done, you feel me? He done crashed out. He got Nomu's all over the town. You feel me? Native already getting pressed. I can't believe. Oh my god. I looked up his quirk, right? Apparently it's the camouflage with the background, right? He's supposed to be on some chameleon shit. I can't believe he got caught that easy. Bro, this nigga is instantaneously folded by a stain. I mean, like, what the... Either way, though, right? Stain over here, he see that Shigaraki and Kurogiri trash in the place. He like, I'm gonna deal with them later. First and foremost, I got business to take care of. You feel me? Ida come out of nowhere. Obviously, Stain gotta put him down. You feel me? Like, what the fuck? Who is you? You feel me? He's like, nah. Ida out here, he's his vengeance and shit. He like, you took my brother. My brother won't ever walk again. And it's your fault. It's like, what? You talking about the Ingenium? Oh, okay. I understand. You can die now. You feel me? Because that's really how Stain feel. You feel me? Like he about all kinds of smoke. And just like in canon, Ida gets folded. He tried to go for the attack. Stain just nice. He just nice like that. He got him with the quickness, put him down, sit him down, stabbed him up. One blade, one katana in his shoulder and stuff. Obviously Ida out here, he trauma dumping. Obviously, Ida out here, he trauma dumping. Just like in canon. And Stain, he over here like, I gotta teach the youth a little something right now, all right? He pointing at Native, you feel me? Talking about, you supposed to save him first. Come out here for revenge, using your power for yourself. That's the furthest thing a hero should be doing. Ida not trying to hear none of that. Ida want violence. So he was like, nah, to me, you still the villain that hurt my big brother, and I'm gonna get my get back. Obviously, Stain, he don't care about none of that. He let that boy go just to spread the name around. There's a hero around here named Stain. He taking heroes' lives and their jobs and more. But yeah, I'm gonna end it there. You feel me? I've been talking for a minute. I got a lot of editing to do. And yeah. I'm in it there, man. I think this to be a decent spot to stop, Appreciate y'all for watching. Sorry that it took so long to get those 2 videos out. The last one and this one. Hopefully I can, come up with a schedule in my personal life to get this, a little bit more consistent. Appreciate y'all for sticking around and supporting. Hit that like button if you made it this far. Comment something. I'm over here talking to myself and stuff. But I appreciate y'all for watching nonetheless. Thank you, God, for allowing me to do this. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.